All right, Icad number 13 here, starting with a 3x5" index card. And I have a bunch of underpapers here. I've been utilizing these a lot in these Icads, and I even do it in art journaling and tags and things like that because my underpapers turn out so stinking pretty and they have such a different look to them than I would normally find myself creating on my projects. So I'm just starting with a piece of underpaper, which is newsprint for me. I work on newsprint, and then I trace my Icad, my index card, trace that same size, and I'm just going to glue it right on top. Beautiful. Easy peasy. Make sure it's all 100% attached there. I even left the wrinkle that was on it because it was very cool. Let that dry, and then I'm going to trim the edges down to size so that it's the exact 3" by 5" exterior or outer limits. There's a word I'm trying to get right there, but silhouette, I guess, maybe, but 3 inches wide by 5 inches, or 3 inches tall by 5 inches wide. I'm using a Stabilo to grunge up some of the sort of brightness or just the rawness that paper, that newsprint has. Adding the Stabilo, and by not collaging the piece down, when I add the Stabilo and then some water, then it kind of soaks up the Stabilo instead of just lets it sit on top. So that's a pretty cool thing there that I really like. Heating my layers as I go. I can always add more Stabilo, and actually I can always take a bit of the Stabilo off too. It will forever be water reactive unless I seal it with something. I needed to glue down my corners there. I'm just using some Yoo-Hoo glue for that. Now I have this doodle border stamp that I designed for Viva Las Vegas Stamps, and I have some archival ink in black soot. I am stamping this stamp. I decided I would just stamp it a whole bunch of times since I already had it out because I adore this stamp. And one of my favorite techniques is to just have some go-to pieces just kind of hanging out. So if I just stamp this a whole bunch of times on this cardstock and I fill in the cardstock, I can just hold on to the extras. I knew for sure I wanted 2, and then I figured I was already doing 2. Why don't I just stamp the whole page full? Pretty awesome. It'd actually make kind of a cool background all on its own. And then I'm going to fussy cut this out with these miniature Tim Holtz scissors. I'm not going to make you watch the whole thing, but you can kind of see here just starting them off on the back and then scallop, scallop, scallop. And those are done. I did 2 because I knew that 1 did not fit across the top. And I put the first one down 100% just like it is. And then the second one I'm going to trim up differently so that it doesn't look like it's a complete repeat of the same shape. I wanted it to be a more organic feel at the top. Easy peasy, all covered there. Now I did some free motion stitching with the new foot that I got for my sewing machine. So I'm not going to show that to you because it's like really ugly and clunky and long and takes a long time, but basically I can just move my paper anywhere I want. And I did that to extend the scallops, and they're so stinking cool and I love it. So I'm going to keep doing some free motion stitching on a lot of my Icads. Keep your eye out for that. Here I talked on my last Icad, I just did some mark making with a Color Soft pencil. It is awesome. So I kind of mimicked the blue, the mid-toned blue that happens when the teal overlays the night in that background. Super, super, super cool. I adore it. Then I splattered some gesso, and now I have just cut the corner out of the newsprint that is covering my page, covering my workspace. And then this is one of my favorite vintage images. It's a vintage lady from Viva Las Vegas Stamps. It is so beautiful. She is just totally darling, and she makes my heart swoon. She's so gorgeous. So I stamped her in the archival ink, but I put her on newsprint because I didn't want a bunch more white space. The scallops and the splattering sort of brought back some white, but I decided that the girl herself didn't need to be white because if I made her the newsprint color, then I could actually go in with my white Sharpie and I could highlight her areas. I could highlight her areas. Anyways, I dotted in her highlights and kind of added some lighter toned areas with the Sharpie. And now I'm using a Pilot G2 pen in a size 10 to add back in some darkness. So the mid-range tones end up being the newsprint and the stamping ink. And then the very dark shadows come from the pen and the very light highlights come from the white Sharpie. Pretty cool. I'm loving it. I'm not going to lie. Then I decided I was going to do some more mark making. And if I had sort of been thinking or planning ahead, I would have done the mark making before I glued the girl down. But it's not a big deal. I'll just work around her. Adding in some marks here with some golden fluid acrylic and carbon black. And I did add a little bit of water to it just to give it a little bit better consistency and a little easier workability here in the background. And these are just paintbrush shaped spots that I'm adding in here and trying not to cover up the pretty marks that I made with the blue before, which you can see really well in the up close photos at the beginning and the end of this video. I will have supply lists. Always I'll have supply lists at the bottom. My supply lists are going to change. So I will no longer be using InLinks, and they're just changing their platform, and it's not something that I'm willing to move to. So I will now be putting my links in by hand at the bottom. Thank you so much, anybody that clicks those links. Even if it's just to figure out the exact products I'm using, I want you guys to know, even if you don't purchase the ones I link to, at least you can see the images of the products this way. If you do end up purchasing using the links at the bottom, awesome. All I do is buy more art supplies with them to do more videos with. It's super, super sweet, super simple. I swear. I just buy more art supplies. The miniature jelly plates that I got, those cool shaped ones, the triangles and hexagons and stuff like that, I got those from some of my Amazon affiliates. So thank you to everyone who clicks those links and ends up doing any type of shopping. I, of course, really appreciate that. Just to say, so I'll be typing those up now at the bottom. So check those out for all the supplies. And I finished up my Icad with a little piece of sari ribbon and some stitching with some DMC floss. So here are some close-ups of that. Please feel free to subscribe to my channel. I'm always glad to have you along. Leave me a comment, guys, if you have a question or a concern or anything like that. I try really hard to answer each and every one of those, and I definitely read them all. So thanks so much for leaving those, and thanks for subscribing, and thanks for being here, and I'll see you in just a little bit with another Icad.